Lesson 2, vision planning and preparing for success. So in this lesson, you're going to watch me as I build a 6-figure music production business, possibly 7 figures. And I want to show you exactly my steps on how I go about building a music production business, or any business for that matter, successfully. So in my estimation of my 12, 13 years of business, I've learned, well, actually 14 years now, I've found that if you don't lay the foundation right, if I don't lay the foundation right, as I move through the business, I may make some sales, I may do some things, it never quite gets past a certain level. I always be like in hustle mode, and it'll be stuck at a certain level. And 9 times out of 10 is because I didn't lay the foundation right for smooth growth. So, and a lot of times you may not lay the foundation right, and then you go and you start to build your music production business and find out you may have built it the wrong way. Or you may have to go back and do some things over, like rebrand, and may have found that you're targeting the wrong people. So there's so much that comes with this, and it's very important that you lay the foundation right. So even if you've already, moved forward to music production business, you have sales, you can still really use this information to come back to the foundations and see if there was anything you might have left out in the beginning stages, or maybe come back and maybe some principles have shifted for you. Maybe some things have evolved and you need to find that out, that maybe your passions and motivations have changed for your music production business, or the trajectory and what you thought you wanted to become, and now that you've done it for a while, maybe you can identify some new ways of doing it. So this is very valuable no matter what stage you are, and always coming back to the foundation and retuning it and making yourself more aware of the foundation is always a bonus and a plus for any business, no matter what level that you're at. So this lesson, the foundation, this lesson, we will begin the journey of starting my new production company from nearly scratch. And I say nearly scratch because I already have my beach site already. And the reason why I already have my beach site is because if I started a new beach site from scratch, in terms of getting it built, then I would have to wait on going back and forth with the coding and designers, and that could take a long time, so that would slow up the content. So I'm going to use a beat site that I already have, but it's not getting any traffic, or we aren't promoting it. So it's up, but it's just sitting there. So we're going to use that particular website because I already have it. Whenever I start any new business, I follow the same process to ensure success. So just to be clear, the beach site is just sitting there. It's not getting any traffic. It's not selling anything. So we're starting from scratch, just in case you were wondering. But whenever I start any new venture, I use this same process, because if I use this process, I will succeed, guaranteed. And so even if, like we talked about, if you're already established in the music production business, coming back to the fundamentals will still help you tremendously. This isn't a traditional school lesson. So I want you to really understand this. This is interactive. So have your pen and pad out, pause the video if you want to, so you can do the same process, follow along with me doing it. And that's very important. This isn't a lesson where you learn like in school and then you pass a test. You're watching me build this business, so I'm doing it so you can see. So the questions that I'm going to answer, the process I'm going through, I want you to answer the same questions and go through the same process. So, in order to get results, I've discovered that, the traditional learning is good, but to sit there and actually go through the process with me, and then you follow along and answer it in your own way while you build your business, is going to be the most the most effective way for you to get the type of results that you're looking for. So my passion and values. So before I start my music production business, I want to first make myself aware of what my passions, excitement, and values are in music. This way I can make sure the music production business I am building is aligned with my passion, dreams, values, and overall spirit. This is something that you learn going along, as you mature in business. When I first started in business, over a decade and some change, I just wanted to make some money. Like I had to make some money. So that's the lower level of doing business, and you only can get so far with that, right? And so as I evolved and matured and grew, I realized that more importantly, when building my music production business, I wanted to give me money as well, but that's just one aspect. I want to give me, excitement. I want to believe in it. I want to be able to wake up and feel like I'm fulfilled, feel like I'm making a difference, and feel excited to go do my business. So, I have to align the business with what I'm passionate about and what my values are and what I want to see in the world. And so if I can align those two things together, now I'm going to be super motivated and inspired and creative, and my business can go further than ever before. So if it's just about money, again, money is one aspect. It's the most important aspect, because if it doesn't make money, it's not a business. But it also can give you so much more, as well in your life, other things that you are looking for in your life as well. So as a side note, this is what keeps you motivated. And this is what we just talked about, keeps you motivated and passionate about your music production business. If I just start selling beats or building a music production business that doesn't align with my heart, my motivation and passion to work long hours to see it successful just won't be there. I will eventually lose the fire in my belly. So what that means is that when your business that you're building isn't aligned with who you are at the core and what your true passions are, what ends up happening is as you reach a point where you just get tired of doing it. You're just like, why do I want to do this? Same old, I'm not getting the results. And so when you hear about a person who's very successful in business, right? Any business, and they're like, I worked, 16 hours a day on it. That's because, see, we think it's hard work, and they trick us a little bit because they say, it was hard work. But it really wasn't hard. It was actually inspired work. It was motivated work, because you'll notice that those people tend to have a mission with their business. It aligns with who they are and their values and what they want to see in the world. It aligns with their mission and their passions. And so it's not really work. Like, it's just like going there and having a great time. You know what I mean? And of course, some things get more stressful than others, and there's some things you may not feel like doing, but ultimately the overall underneath fire for your business and what you're doing will carry you through even those moments of minutia where you have to, maybe do your books or something that's kind of boring, but you're excited about building this particular business. So it's not hard work. It's inspired work. And that's what we want to change to, where it's just effortless. You just go do it because you're excited to do it. So it has to line up. And that's what's the missing piece. This society has taught us money. It's all about the money. Money is the main vein of the business. So if it's not making money, then it's not making no sense. But that's not the only part. It's like me saying your arm is the only, your body is only about having an arm. It's like, well, no, I have a leg, I have a foot, I have organs, I have a brain. Like, you have so much more to you, and your body has more to offer than just one arm. So the money, look at that in your music production, but it's just one arm. It does offer an arm, is useful, and it's great. It's phenomenal to make a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But that's not the only thing your music production business can give you and fulfill you with. So that's what the point is. So let's get started. So this is a process. So you're not learning as much as you're seeing me go through the process, answering these questions, and then you're going to go through the process yourself and answer the questions for you. Don't copy my answers, obviously. So music passion questionnaire. First, I'm going to reconnect with my passion and dreams for music production. We do this before we bring in the business aspect. So before we even talk about the business and beat selling and all that stuff, first I have to reconnect with my own passion. What got me started in music production? What am I passionate about in music? I have to identify my personal passions and go inside myself. Not what your passions are, not what other people tell me they should be, but what are my passions and dreams in music production? So here's some questions that I'm going to answer, and you can answer to begin to bring that back to life, okay? And I have answered all these questions. I want to go over my answers, and I'm being vulnerable, right? I'm giving you my answers to these questions very honestly and authentically, so you can then answer them honestly and authentically in your particular life. Why did you start music production? What emotions did you feel when you first started? Very important question. What part of the production process gave you the best feeling? What were your production dreams when you first started? How have they changed over time? Or maybe they haven't. What genre of music do you enjoy listening to the most? What music artists do you listen to the most in that genre? What is your definition of a successful music producer, quote unquote? How will you know when you are successful? What top 3 things would be a defining and memorable moment in your music production career? Name 5 artists in your favorite genre you would love to produce for right now. Now, these questions, and I'm going to go through my answer. So I had to really dig deep and spend a lot of time answering these questions. I wanted to rekindle my fire and love with music production. Now, when you've been doing something for a long time, a lot of times we forget the simple motivations and things that got us going in the beginning. And that's what happens. We pile all this stuff. We've been making beats for so long. We forget all this stuff. We just kind of go through our motions. So this was a great process for me, to be honest, because I had forgotten a lot of this stuff. I still had my passion for music production, but doing this really honed in and made me realize, it brought the fire back in a way that it's never been before, because, some of these things have changed since I started. Some of these answers have evolved. And so now I'm so passionate after doing this. It made me listen. I went back and told my girl, I was like, man, my passion for creating the music production business is times 10. I'm getting these new awarenesses. So even myself, man, going through this process really helped me really rekindle this passion for my music production business. So even if you've already have one that's doing something, you already have a brand or whatever, these questions can still help you bring that fire back that may have been lost over the years. So why did you start music production? Well, for me, I used to be in a rap group and always needed to find beats when I was in high school. I was classically trained at piano, but that had given way to rapping and making songs. I always was the one finding the beat, downloading and learning the software, Cool Edit Pro at the time, vocal producing the other rappers in the group, and creating the overall finished product of the song. So, that was me. I was the guy. So first I started with classical piano when I was in junior high school, 7th grade. And I mastered classical piano to a degree, right? I was doing recitals. I fell in love with the piano the first time I touched it. I spent all my time practicing. When I went to high school, I took private lessons for a while, but then it was like, I kind of fell out of love with the piano in that aspect, and I really fell in love with rapping. So I created a rap group, and so we were rapping, and I was freestyle battling. I was a freestyle battler, and I got more notoriety as that because we would freestyle battle in the yard. We would draw crowds, hundreds of kids, to the point where we had like a live freestyle Friday. Like it was crazy, man. So I was really, really a known rapper in my school, and then what happened was we started to let's record some of our songs. So then we had to find the beat, right? So I was the one going online and downloading, finding instrumentals. Back then you had like software, I think like Kazaa or that type of stuff, where you would have to go online and go to these file sharing programs and try to find instrumentals. And then, I would learn the software, put it on my computer, and Cool Edit Pro, learn how to edit. So I would vocal produce. So I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, right? I just would be like, okay, say that over again, say it like this, overdub this, and I would try to find tips and tricks. So that's what I was doing. I was technically producing the song, but just I didn't make the beat. And I love doing that, man. I'd be in there for, getting them to say it right, and then I would just love when the song was completed. So one day a buddy of mine who also rapped made his own beats. So he made his own beats. He showed me how to make beats with this software called Fruity Loops. This was in 2003, so Fruity Loops was horrid. So this isn't the Fruity Loops that you guys know, right? This was like the early versions of Fruity Loops, right? So, but that's the first software that I got started on. And it was still kind of new. You didn't have sounds. It's not, when you think of Fruity Loops back then, don't think of what it is today, right? And all these VSTs and all these sounds. I mean, it was pretty bad. Like as far as software production, didn't have the quality yet as hardware. So it wasn't like a good quality coming out of this thing yet. So I sampled an old soul record. This is my first time. He told me how to chop up the record in like Cool Edit and put it in this Fruity Loops program, and I had like some stock drums, and man, I was so excited. Like it was like when I first touched the keys to become a pianist. I instantly fell in love. So it's just something about, I can't really explain it. It's just like this click happened, and I was just so excited, like, yo, I just made this beat, listen, and I just, it just instantly from there, it hooked me, right? So that's why I started. And from there, I just became like a production junkie, right? I want to spend all my time on the computer making beats. I remember getting my rap group one of my first beats, and it was the best feeling in the world. We were going to school and showing everyone our tracks. I still rap, but producing became my first love, right? So I was still rapping, but man, I was buying equipment, tell my friends put together money so we can buy some equipment so I can make more beats. And so that's all I wanted to do was just make beats. So what emotion did you feel when you first started? So I remember feeling excitement mixed with love. I had created something that never was created before. I think it was because I had just become aware of the limitless possibilities of music, that I could create something out of raw sound and rhythm. It probably wasn't that deep when it happened, but the feeling was like a whole new world opened up, and I knew it was something that I wanted to do forever. So that's just how it felt. Like I had this love and this excitement. It almost was almost like imagine if you're living like Groundhog's Day, which is like every day is the same. You see somebody wearing the same suit, and all of a sudden this spark of inspiration, like, wait a minute, it's a new world out here. It's like going to outer space, like almost like that. Like imagine an astronaut going to outer space and go, wow, it's a whole big universe out here. And he's been stuck on Earth all this time. Like that's how I felt. Like, wow, like it's like I can so much to explore, so many different possibilities that I can come up with. This infinite world of music and being able to. So I don't know. I just like. That's what hit me. That's the emotions that music gave me when I started. I would say love plus excitement. What part of the production process gave you the best feeling? Well, initially it was just making the beat, just being creative, hearing the initial loop playing over and over and vibing out. Once it came together, over time it has evolved into being in the studio with an artist while we build a track from scratch. I love to produce and come up with song ideas, hooks, and guide the artist. So for me, it's not just making the beat. Like at first it was, then it was like, yo, I love being in the studio with the artist, and I'm making the beat from scratch, and the artist is writing something to it, and that's like ecstasy to me. I'm in heaven when I'm doing that, right? And we're creating something, and then the artist is singing it a certain way or rapping it a certain way. I'm like, hey, do it like this, and then I come up with even more ideas, hit me, and then we just get it sounding right, and I mean, it's just that's heaven for me. That's the process I love the most. But I honestly love the whole process from beginning to end. But hearing a completed song that is dope as hell over my beats is the best thing on the planet. I think when I sit back and I listen to the whole song with the artist, the hook, the mixing, everything, I'm listening to that song, the beat over the beat I made. That's ecstasy feeling for me. That's it's just when it all comes together and you can hear this song that's just dope and it's never been created before, and you create it and you can hear you in it. I mean, that for me is the best feeling in the world. So what were your production dreams when you first started? Well, when I first started, my dream was fairly simple. I just wanted to hear my favorite artist rapping over one of my beats. I didn't care about anything else, even if it was a mixtape track. I just wanted to be able to say, I produced such and such for track for Jay-Z or 50 Cent. Also, just hearing them over one of my beats and being able to play it over and over again. So that was my dream when I first started. Like, it wasn't like, hey, I want to be, make $10 million and own a big home. I just like, if I get a major artist to just be on one of my beats, man, that'd be so dope. That's the dream when I started. As I got older, my dreams evolved. I wanted to be the top producer in the game, working with top artists and being the go-to super producer in the game. So that became my dream. Like, I was just dreaming about that. Like, I want to be like that go-to producer. At the time, it was like Kanye or, Just Blaze or, those guys, Timbo, Neptunes. That's like, I want to be the next that. So the next question is, how have they changed over time? I really haven't. So, has your dreams changed? And it was interesting answering this question because I hadn't really thought about that. Like, how have they changed now? And what motivates me then, that dream really is not what motivates me now. So for me, it has changed. This was a great question for me. And so now as I've gotten a little older, my production dreams have evolved again. I just want to produce dope songs that touch people and make a mark on people's heart. I want my music to mean something. I want my own sound that can impact a segment of the population that are inspired by the music I make. I want my name to be synonymous with quality music that the fans are excited to hear. See how a lot of it changed. Like, I kind of evolved, and it's just mine. I don't have to. If you're still, where I was before, with I want to be the top producer. That's fine. There was nothing wrong with that. That was a great dream. But for me, it just kind of evolved over time. Doing this for so long. For me now, I'm at a point where I'm like, I want to leave like a musical legacy. I want the music I make. I want it to mean. So I want it to be dope. Like, it has quality content. The music is quality. Like think about Motown records and like an Al Green record. Like, those, they meant something. And they touch the hearts of people and they last forever. And people feel something. you know, they're inspired by that music. I know one of my favorite songs of all time is, I have a couple, but you know, Guapale, Close to My Dreams. I mean, that song is so inspiring. Like, I can listen to that now, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, and it's like I can listen to that and I get so motivated and inspired, and I want my music to do that to people, right? I want, and that's like my dream. That's what I love, you know. Now, I love dope songs. I want the songs to be just hot, you know what I mean? And so, and when you hear it, you go, what is that? Like, oh, that's something different. You know, almost like when the Neptunes came out and you had that different sound, and so that's what I want. You know, whether I'm the top producer in the world or, you know, the super producer, all that really is not a big deal to me. Like, I would love that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want that or that won't happen. I'm just saying, like, this is what music means to me. Being able to touch people, you know, with my music, that to me is you know, my dream now. So what genre of music you enjoy listening to the most? So what genre? Like, you know, like we all, you know, I listen to a lot of different music, right? Like just the other day I had on like some older trap music like Jeezy and T.I. I was on that hustle mode. You know, I listened to, you know, I had some Jacquees. I really like the young guy Jacquees. LMI, I like her music that's out. I may throw on some older Gucci Mane, or I may turn the radio, so I listen to a whole bunch of different stuff. But what is my most listened to music that really inspires me, that I love listening to personally? And you want to answer that for you. Like, what's your personal, you know, music you enjoy the most, right? So for me, it's R&B, man. R&B is my favorite genre. You know, I love music that incorporates instrumentation. You know, I listen to all R&B music going back to the 80s with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Sometimes I'll put on Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis playlist from Apple Music and just vibe out. All the way to current R&B, you know, R&B. Like, I love LMI and her new songs and everything in between, you know. And admittedly, for the past few years, I found myself going back to a lot of early 2000 R&B and neo soul to get that feeling. You know, I just love that feeling. It feel good, love, you know, just brighten your day up. And mainstream R&B just wasn't cutting for me. You know, they went to a lot of the trap sound, and, you know, they kind of took the musical element out of it. People weren't really singing anymore. You know, it was more like rap singing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it was cool. Not saying it wasn't good, but, you know, that just didn't touch me like that. So, you know, I feel like now the feeling of late 90s and early 2000s, that feeling is coming back. So I'm enjoying the newer R&B music a lot more. So now I can honestly say, like, you know, I'm enjoying R&B again. You know, I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit, but now I'm back, and I feel like now it's stronger than ever. What music artists do you listen to the most in that genre? So in your genre that you say you like listen to the most, what's the artist that you listen to the most in that genre? So from current R&B, I find myself listening to LMI, Jacquees, Kehlani. I love Kehlani. Sabrina Claudio, I like her stuff, and Rihanna, and a few others. You know, that's who I find on my playlist, my Apple Music playlist, the most. Man, I really like their music. You know, it has that bang to it, and they singing. You know. So what is your definition of a successful music producer? Now, for me, this is, again, don't answer this like me, because then it won't be you. Like, this is very important stuff that it has to be your answer. I'm giving you my answer to see how, you know, who I am. But, you know, ultimately this has to be about you and defining who you are, and you uncovering who you are and what your destiny is in music. So what's your definition of a successful music producer? Well, this is an interesting question. What I define as successful producer early in my career is completely different than now. Early in my career, I defined as a successful producer by accolades. Now I define successful producer as, and I'm gonna give that in a second, but what I mean by accolades is, you know, I was like, okay, you're successful, you have #1 hit records, people know who you are, you're selling millions of records, you got major placements. So to me, that's all I knew. Like, that's what a successful producer is. Right, and remember, at this time, you know, online production really wasn't taking off where it is now, right? Where it's like, you know, $millions are being made online. Like, this is still fairly new. So the only level of success back then was just like when you have Grammys. That's all we looked to those producers, and now it's success, right? And if you weren't that, you weren't a successful producer. Now, as I've, you know, obviously evolved over decades of doing this now, you know, my definition is a lot more simpler. To me, a successful music producer is one who is making the music they want in the way that they want, touching the people they want, and enjoying the process along the way. So that's my definition. You may adopt that definition after you learn exactly what it means. So First of all, if I'm a music producer, for me to be successful, I have to be making the music I want, and that's the thing. Is like, and I know it's hard when you're like, okay, it has to be a market for it, but we'll talk about how to infuse that with your business. But ultimately, like, let's say like I love R&B music and all this stuff, and I go and I'm producing rock music, and I really don't like it that much, but I'm good at it because I'm a producer. I can produce anything. And that's not really what I want to produce, then I'm not really successful. Even no matter how many records they sell, if I'm not expressing myself the way that I want, because the music to me, this is my definition, it's about expression. So if I'm not expressing myself and I'm just doing what people are telling me to do because that's where the money is, or that's what they're paying me to do, and that's fine to do some of that. But I mean, if ultimately I'm not doing music that I feel that I want to do, then I'm not being successful, and that's my definition, in the way that they want. So now if you're doing it, but you're not doing it in the way you want. What I mean the way is like, let's say you want to be working with major artists, getting placements, and that's the way you want to do it. You're in the studio with the artist and you're recording records, and that's the way you want to make your music, then you're successful if you're doing it that way. Some producers know like, hey, I just want to make the beats in my room and then just send it out, and send the beats out. I don't really want to be in the studio with the artist. I like being able to travel and do it from my computer and, be more free. And I don't really want to be in the studio with the artist, and I'd rather send them out, and just email them the beats and the files and let them do the songs. That is successful because that's the way that you want to do it. So it's making music that they want, the way that you want to do it, touching the people that you want. So if you may have a small little following, man, like, hey man, I'm doing this type of music, I got this following. It's not mainstream, it's not huge, maybe you're not selling a ton of beats, but there's a cult following, and that's your crowd, and you're producing tracks and they loving it, and they like, hey man, this is the go-to producer for this particular subgenre that's not very big. But man, if they're being touched by your music, they're riding through, bumping your joint, saying I love this stuff, then to me, you're successful. And then enjoying the process along the way. Now that's the other key to this. Remember, if you're not enjoying the process along the way, then you're not successful. So what I mean by enjoying the process along the way is that you're not gonna wake up tomorrow and be living the dream, right? It's a process that happens. You start building, I'm going to get my beat site, right? Think about it. I'm going to get my beat site. I got to get traffic. I got to brand. I got to upload more tracks. So it's a process to becoming the successful music producer in the music production business that I want to build. So I have to enjoy that process along the way. Not say, hey man, I'm going to hate every moment of it, and then finally when I blow up, finally when it's all done, I'll be happy. No, it's like, hey, I get up today, I know, hey, I get to build this. I got to get my beats done. I got to get this. I got to network. I got to send some beats. I got to go put some ads out, and enjoying that process along the way. So to me, that's success. If you're not enjoying the process, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're not successful in my eyes. I wouldn't look at that as success, because ultimately you're just kind of just wasting life. So I'll put it together for you. My definition of a successful music producer is a producer who is making the music they want in the way they want, touching the people they want, and enjoying the process along the way. That is success. And if you're doing that, you're successful to me. How will you know when you are successful? So now that was more general. Now, how will I know when I'm successful? So it's very important. So, you have to set a finish line. You have to set something that's like, okay, you can't leave it up in the air all the time because you never quite reach there. So now we want to kind of, get definitive, get, exact. So for me, I will know I'm successful as a music producer when, one, R&B artists from around the world are using my beats to make dope tracks with my tag in the beginning. So when I hear, go on SoundCloud or go on Facebook, YouTube, when I hear, and there's different R&B artists from different countries making great music, and I hear it and I hear my tag in the beginning, I'm like, okay, now I see success. I'm being successful because that's what I set out to do. And their fan bases are loving the music. I'm looking at the comments on their social media like, yo, I love this track. The beat is great. I love the song. That's one of the ways that I will know I'm being successful. And two, I primarily work with 2 to 3 artists that I truly believe in, in the studio, that are signed to major labels, that are going to promote their projects. So I want, at the same time that I'm online killing the music, you know, and having R&B and songs being created and people are buying my beats and loving it, simultaneously I want to also work personally. Like I told you, for one of my passions was always working with the artist, seeing the track from beginning to end. So I want to do that, you know, but I don't want to use my time for an artist that doesn't have any budget, right? I mean, this is my personal time, so I want to make sure that they're signed already, have a major label behind them that's going to promote the music that I sit there and create. Like, I don't want to spend, 2 weeks in the studio with a great artist that I believe in. They have no promotional budget or nothing, no backing from a label. So we create all this great music. I use all my time and energy, and it just sits on a hard drive. So if I'm doing that with, these major artists, I want them to have a budget already behind them, so that way the music can spread and get out there. Because if I'm hands-on with it, it's going to be some great music, and I want the world to hear it. But they can't hear it if we don't have that type of budget and connections. So that's when I know I'm being successful. I got the independent game on Smash, and also I'm in there working with artists that I believe in. That means that I don't care if you have a major label if I don't believe you're a great singer, or if I don't believe you're making great music. You understand? So it's not just about having a label or a backing or a budget. I want to believe in the music. I want to say, hey, this artist is great. I love the way they sing. Something about them I like. I know that I can make great music with them, and I believe in the music. And so what you see with me, you've seen a lot of me knowing myself and wanting to create a life that will inspire me. Now that I know my passions that we unlocked earlier, your passion, you see how I want a life that when I wake up, I get to live the passions and the things that motivate me and get me excited. Not what the world said I should do or think is right or think is this and that, but what my own personal path. I let the world do the world. They can do them. If they think that's what the way life should be lived, then they can live it that way. I want to live and create a life that I'm excited to live. And this is one that would excite me. So we just went through that. So what top 3 things would be a defining and memorable moment in your music production career? So these are just 3 milestones, 3 things. And I say defining. The point of this is to this is almost like a check-off list, right? So you can say, okay, these 3 things, these would be defining moments. I'll always remember this for the rest of my life. These 3 moments in my music production career. So for me, is hearing my song being played in the club or lounge and people are really feeling and vibing to it. That's one of the things I always imagine. Like, I'm just in a club. I don't know the DJ. Not like I told my boy to play. I mean, just like I'm in the club or I'm in a lounge. I really don't go to super clubs anymore, but I'm in a lounge or something. People are vibing, and then the record that I produce just comes on. I just see people feeling it though. Like, not just dance. I mean, like, they're just like, this is my joint. You know what I'm saying? And I see people just, when you really vibing to something in your eyes, you just kind of just let go and you just get lost in the music. Like, I want to see people doing that. That would be a milestone for me. I'll never forget that moment, because I love to see people enjoying my music. Like, that's like at the bottom of my heart. My biggest just motivation is to see that, to just see people enjoying something I created. I ain't got to put my hand up and say, hey, I made that, or get recognition for it. They won't even know that I made it. Just in the cut, just watching people enjoy music that I created. Hearing someone randomly listening to a song I produced and seeing them vibe to it. That's something that I always wanted too. It's like, I will always remember a day if somebody's driving by or I'm in a car and I'm in a car next to them, and they just vibing to the joint. It's on the radio or it's on their playlist, and they just loving it. You know what I'm saying? And they just look over and I'm just like, yo, they loving that shit. I ain't gonna say, hey, I produced that. I just want to just see the impact, that it would have on a person. So that would be a milestone, to just randomly hear someone listening to my music and enjoying it. A funny story about that. I remember chilling with my boy Aloe Black, and I remember we were chilling. I'm gonna say where, but we were chilling at this spot, and I remember his song just came on, was just playing, and it was just like surreal moment. Like, it was just funny because we were just chilling, and I just hear his song, and I'm like, that has to be surreal for him. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when he was coming up, dreaming about this stuff, right? And then we're sitting down in this public place, and like the music, just his song is playing in the background. It was just almost like synchronicity. I'm like, man, I would love to get that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, also working with a major R&B artist in the studio that I'm a fan of. So that's another mile, right? So I mean, like, someone that I'm a big fan, like Beyonce. I'm a huge fan of Beyonce, right? I'm a huge fan of like Ella Mai. Like I love her music. Like just being in a studio and working with that artist, you know what I mean? That I'm a fan of. I think that's going to be a defining moment as well. Somebody that I'm a fan of though, not just because they're a major artist, so they can have a hit record. Like somebody that I'm particularly like, yo, I love their music and I love what they do, and then we can come together and collaborate and do something great. So those are mine. So you got to list yours. Maybe it's winning a Grammy. Maybe it's getting a major placement. Like whatever it is, what are your 3 things that would define a memorable moment in your music production career? And we just talked about those 3. So name 5 current artists in your favorite genre you would love to produce for right now. So now we're almost creating like a dream list, right? So in your genre, what are 5 artists that you'd be like, yo, I would love to work with them? Again, this is more of a checklist thing. So what we're doing is we're creating things that we can check off our bucket list almost, right? So for me, it would be Ella Mai. That's like one of my favorite singers right now. Jacquees, it's still kind of underground, underrated, but man, since I first heard him, I've been telling people that dude right there is a star. Love his music. SZA, I love SZA. Halsey, I actually really like Halsey's music. You know what I mean? Like she's not necessarily R&B all the way. She's more like popish, but I'm a fan of her music. And Ariana Grande, she makes great chart music, and I like chart music. You know what I mean? It's real mainstream. I love she has great writers around her, a great team. They find great songs to use for her. I really like her music. I think they do a great job with her and her music. I would love to work with her and see what we can put down. So conclusion, now that I have reconnected with my true passion and dreams from music production career, I can now create a business that will keep me inspired and excited to dedicate working long hours to build it. So what that means is, like, if I didn't do this at first, I would be so just lost and confused when I create my music production business, because I'll be doing it for the wrong reasons. I wouldn't be in the right genre. I wouldn't know what my focus and goals should be. So this is the precursor to a business plan. So most people talk about a business plan but don't know their passions. You need to find a self-passion, self-diagnosis of your passions first. So that's what I did. So now I'm so inspired because I say, I want to make sure whatever music production business I build, it aligns with these passions and all these answers that I gave. So this is the power in that. See, and so most people will, of course, skip this stuff. And they're just like, let me get this money, dog, all that ignorant stuff that we've been programmed with, instead of understanding that every successful person you meet, like a Steve Jobs and these Bill Gates, is successful, underneath it is this stuff here. That's why only 1% of the people succeed, because they start to go deeper and align their businesses with these particular passions and these understandings. And when I was a young, ignorant fool, when I started in business, I ignored this stuff. I thought this wasn't important. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I need to get this money, man. That's what I was programmed with, understanding I was always going to be at a roadblock because my business was not nourishing the passions and aligned with who I am and my values, my true core values of who I am. So it can never outgrow what it was. It can never outgrow the level that it was at, because it didn't really represent and reflect me. So I was really in conflict with who I was. So I could never push forward. And it's an invisible barrier you're going to hit if you don't align your music production business with the answers you gave here. And some of you who listen to this may be out of alignment. Get back in alignment. Now that maybe you learned some new things that hey, I've been doing this music production business, but I found out that I had other dreams and other directions that I really have evolved from. Then when I start implementing those things. Hey, listen, if you got a music production business making money, I'm not saying stop and cut it off and just start going towards this stuff, but start to make the transition, start to implement some of these things and get back to the things that made you excited and motivated and passionate, that made you want to change the world in the first place. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to find out how can I take the stuff, my raw passion and who I am, create a business that fuels those things and also can make a lot of money and be successful. Because remember, it ain't a business if it ain't making money. So how can I connect it all together? So now my passion for having a great life and building wealth and succeeding, having money to live the life of my dreams and luxury combine that with passion and things that I'm passionate about, things that excite me, that inspire me, and that I love. Now, what if I can create a music production business that fits all that into one? I'll be unstoppable, and so will my business, and so will you once you do that. So in the next lesson, in the next video in this lesson, we're going to take the business side of it now, and we're going to fuse them together. So now we have a business that we create, a music production business that fuels all of these things for us. And now we wake up in the morning and can't wait to build it. And we're going to go faster, further, and further than any other music producer, because our business gives us life. It's not taking life from us in exchange for money. It's giving us life while giving us money. So that's a recipe for unlimited success and fast growth. So answer these questions right now. Go through and answer, because you can't go to the next lesson, next video, without having these answers. This may take you a day. Maybe you have to sit back and contemplate. This took me a while to answer these questions. I had to get back and really think and really get in touch with myself. Again, these answers should not be from your mind. It should be from your heart. So if you don't feel it, if you're not feeling it, then it's not going to work for you. You're not going to get an A+ for answering this the right way and getting the answers right. You're going to live a life of your dreams for getting these answers right. And that's when it comes from your heart, and you're doing self-inquiry and understanding who you are as a music producer, who you are as a human being, as a spirit. And now we're going to be able to take a business and wrap a business around that. So now you have unlimited. It's like the rocket fuel for your rocket, which is your business, and you're going to take off. You see? Instead of having to crawl and scratch for every little bit of success that you can get, because it's not aligned with who you are and your own excitements, loves, passions. So with that being said, answer these questions before you go to the next video. If it takes you a day or 2 days, it doesn't matter. There's no time limit. Make sure they're aligned with who you are in your heart, and then go on to the next video. And then you're gonna see me as I take that and now create a business plan, a business structure around that, and how I can connect it to business and making a lot of money and living my dreams.